Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a little update on my hip dysplasia kid. So if you haven't watched my other hip dysplasia video, you can feel free to watch that if you want. The long and the short of it is that I was born with dislocated hips, also called CDH or DDH. And it was not discovered until I was like, I think almost a year and a half old. Or maybe it was 9 months old. Anyway, I'd have to ask my mom again. But basically, my mom was told I was gonna need surgery, and she got, a second and a third and a fourth opinion. And then someone at the time was doing bracing in order to handle hip dysplasia. And it was sort of a newer therapy at that time. And so that's what they did. And I was like in a leg brace for learning how to walk and a bunch of, I think it was about a year and a half of being in a leg brace. And then I had x-rays like every year or every couple years, for most of my life, until I was, I think 11. I got my last x-ray to show that like I was all good. My hips were forming correctly. Everything was good. So anyway, my kid was born and it didn't look like he had hip dysplasia because they like move your kid's hips around in the sockets to see if there's like a click. And every time that we got that done, they were like, no, there's no click. It should be good. And then, but as a preventative thing, just because I had hip dysplasia, then he had to get an ultrasound when he was 6 weeks old to see if he had hip dysplasia. And he freaking did have hip dysplasia, which was like totally shocking. It was very stressful. But it was a fairly mild case of hip dysplasia, and so he was in what's called a Pavlik harness. If you watch my other video, all of this data is in there. But anyway, he was in a Pavlik harness for about 7 weeks, and then we got the all clear to have him out of it. And then, so once you have a kid with DDH, it can recur, even if it's like, oh yeah, he's fine, we're done with treatment for now. They have to continue to check up on it because it can happen again. So your kid's, hip joint can move apart again. And so you might need to do further handlings to get it to come back together again. So I think for us, like he had the ultrasound at 6 weeks old, and then we went back at like 14 weeks old and he got the Pavlik harness, taken off. And then I think it was like 6 months and then 12 months and then 2 years. Anyway, he's turning 2 tomorrow, the 10th of October. So hopefully I get this video all edited and up today. Anyway, so he's turning 2 tomorrow. So yesterday I went to get him a new x-ray for his 2nd birthday. And it's always a little stressful because I'm like, what if it recurred? Like what if he's got a new episode of this hip dysplasia, and like what if he needs surgery? So it's like, it's stressful every time we go, even though every single time we've gone so far, it's been fine. So I always just think to myself, like, he's fine. He's totally fine. His hips are fine. Like, he's doing great. He's fine. So anyway, we took him, we got an x-ray, which I don't love, that whole like radiation thing is not my favorite. And then we went down and saw one of our favorite doctors. She works with, hippie kids and other sort of like osteo bone structure things. Anyway, so we got the all clear. So I don't know, she didn't tell us like the angles or whatever, but we got the all clear. He's got a little smiley face and an Iron Man sticker, and his hips look good. So we don't have to go back and see them again or get any x-rays or anything until he is 5, which is so, so good. And then as long as he's good at his 5-year checkup on his hips, then that's it. Then we're released from, the hip dysplasia treatment, whatever, and we don't have to go back and get him checked ever again. So anyway, that was really comforting to find out. She told me basically at 2, your kid's legs are like still really floppy. Anyway, so to have your feet turned in when you're younger is actually totally developmentally normal. And even like potentially having, you know, some like differences in angles or whatever. And she said like around 10 or 11, then the kid's legs will face forward all the time. Like it's just how the body grows basically, to hold itself that way. So she said that was completely normal because, you know, as we're getting ready to go to this appointment, I'm starting to like really observe how my kid is moving. And I'm like, are his legs even? Is he running evenly? Is one leg going out further than the other? You know, it's like being a mom is stressful sometimes. Anyway, so I'm very happy. So we only have to do one more appointment and it's in 3 years from now. So I just have to remember to get him that x-ray before he starts kindergarten and we should be all good. So I just wanted to give you guys an update. My hip dysplasia video is one of my like most clicked on videos, and there's not a lot of resources out there for people with kids with hip dysplasia where they can like go and look and see like what do other parents experience, and you know, like there's foundations and stuff, and there's Facebook, you know, there's Facebook groups about like hippie kids and stuff, which are super helpful. But there's not a lot of like YouTube videos on the topic of people discussing like what happened to them, what happened to their family, how everything developed. You know, I wish that I had the YouTube channel during the time period when I was going through it, because I would have loved to like take you guys through that experience a little better with me. But anyway, if anyone has any questions or you just want to share your story or your experience, feel free to do it in the comments because, you know, I think sometimes that can really help other parents to like feel like they're not alone or feel like, you know, what their kid is going through is normal, you know, or like, you know, there's been successes of people who've gone through the same thing and like everything turned out totally fine. Anyway, so I hope this is reassuring for some parents out there. And if you've got a hippie kid, they're awesome. And you know, there's some discomfort and all of that, but it tends to be a very treatable condition, especially when it's discovered, you know, earlier in life. So anyway, I hope anyone out there with a hippie kid is doing good and their kid is doing good. Again, if you want to reach out, maybe I can put my email address in the description below. If you have anything that you want to like chat with me about, go ahead, or come visit me on one of my other social medias. Okay, thanks guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.